Welcome to Podcast Valley Sunday. I am one of your hosts, Chris Paco.
And I'm the other one, Jeff Cameron.
And we are here for all the Monkees fans. We're going to be breaking down every episode, starting at number 1, going all the way to number 58, which is kind of crazy for a 2-year show to have 58 episodes.
That is true.
And be putting out records.
It's definitely not a British show.
No, yeah. Not a limited series. Now that could probably go for like 8 seasons. You could do 58 episodes, do 8 seasons. True. And it's like just as amazing.
It's kind of the whole production stretch was about the length of one Rick and Morty off season.
It's very true. Yeah. And like when you think about it too, like they were making records at the same time and eventually like going on tour at the same time. So like no wonder that they all got kind of burnt out after 2 seasons. I'm like, I've had enough of this.
And in addition to going through the episodes, we'll talk about our experiences with and about the Monkees, and perhaps even do a surprise countdown where we talk about the Monkees music itself.
Yes.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll get to it, yes. Definitely. And yeah, we'll be talking about different like personal memories we have connected to these episodes or a song or something like that. And then hopefully, if you're into it, tweet at us or Facebook us or whatever we have set up. We'll figure that out.
Not MySpace, probably.
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll have a couple of BBS boards.
Maybe.
So we'll start with episode number 1, Royal Flush.
And it clearly, obviously, wasn't the first one they made.
No, yeah, it definitely wasn't the first one made. You can almost see, as you were saying, like the lengths of hair get shorter.
And maybe it's because, like, once they had, like, did they have the whole season in the can by the time they went to air?
I don't think so. They probably did like half a season, and then when it was a hit, got picked up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but as far as choosing this one as the first episode, it's like, it's a funny one, and they do, like, silly stuff, but they don't do much of the band stuff.
No.
At all.
No, and I've said before, you would have no idea this was a show about a band if you just watched the opening. It seems like a spy show, an English spy show with a little
and then the theme song comes on, hey, we're a band, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
And then Mike says, hey, we need a gig or else we're going to starve. And then they never mention
exactly.
or act like a band again, and they don't get a gig. And that's that.
See, jumping ahead maybe a little bit here, but I definitely thought they were going to be playing at like the inauguration ball or whatever. I thought that's how they were getting in. So we'll start with the first episode, Royal Flush, which came out on September 12th, 1966. I'm going to assume there was some hype leading up to this, right? Like, did the record come out before?
Yes. I think by this time, Clarksville was in the top 10. Oh, fuck, we should check it out. But the single came first, and it was a hit. And it was sort of seen as kind of a victory for the music end of things that the record had come out and was a hit without the support of the TV show right at the start. The record itself, I think, came out in October, and the show came out in September.
But they had the singles out.
Yeah, that's the Last Train to Clarksville and Take a Giant Step was the B-side. And that came out like a month before the show.
Okay, so people knew what was coming with the Monkees at least.
Yes.
Because, like when it starts off, Davey sees a princess drowning, and some guy's trying to shoot her, I think, is what's happening, and then Davey gets in the way.
They got the telescope. They're watching her because they had sabotaged the flotation device she was using.
That was it, yes. And so, it pops, she screams, and David runs out there and saves her.
Of course.
Are you all right? I'm fine now, thank you. I don't swim very well, but I was sure that the raft...
You ought to get your money back on that raft.
Oh, I can't. It was a present from my Uncle Otto.
And then her uncle and the stooge guy, Igor, they come down, and then they kind of talk. The
henchman is Sigmund in this episode.
Oh, is it? I thought they said it was Sigmund, and it turns out to be Igor.
Really?
Because when Davey's like, when Mickey's reading the paper.
Oh, that's right.
And he's like, oh, it's Sigmund. He's like, oh, this one's Igor. Wrong princess.
Hey, Davey, you talking about a chick? Her name's Bettina. She's a princess. That's right. And she's here with her uncle, the Archduke. Otto. Yeah, Otto. Yeah, and a bodyguard. Yeah, Sigmund. Nah. That one's Igor. It must be a different princess.
So maybe Mickey's just being Mickey about it,
Oh,
and his name is
perhaps.
Sigmund. Either way, we'll go with Sigmund from here on out. And so yeah, and so then they take her away, and Davy gives her his jacket because she's all cold because she's almost killed by this flotation device exploding.
And so technically the jacket is like the MacGuffin of the episode. He has to reobtain his jacket.
Hey, my jacket.
That's the primary motivation.
That's the whole thing.
The whole thing.
'Cause
The words, she's got my jacket, is the catchphrase of the episode.
She's got my jacket.
I think it was a drinking game in Frosh Week '66 when people taped it on their Super 8. So then they take her away with his jacket. Intro comes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The original intro with I think I prefer the second.
I think
Season
I
intro.
agree. I think it's neat that they're singing the song at the end
Yeah.
in this first intro.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed right away, and I think it was possibly kind of a Monkees innovation, was during these first episodes, it's a different length of time for the cold open. Like once it's like 2 minutes, once it's a minute and a half, and one time it's like 3 minutes. And I think maybe they were able to play with that a bit more so than a more traditionally structured I Love Lucy type show.
True. Yeah.
I think they kind of played with that a bit because there was no set cold open length. Maybe the cold open concept itself. I don't know. I have not watched much television from the 50s and 60s.
I'll do enough. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it is different how it has like a different kind of feel to it. And it's like they're adding different clips in as the season goes along, which doesn't happen very often. So then anyway, it's finished. Come back to the Monkees pad where Mike is complaining they haven't had a gig in a month.
Do you know we haven't worked in a month?
And Peter says,
Gee, it seems more like 4 weeks.
classic Peter. And then Davy tells about the princess. Mickey reads about her in the paper. And almost within that opening scene, you get the four of them, which they had to do. But it was really...
That's true.
Gets pushed home, I think.
They got each have their part in the band.
Yeah, and in just their foursome. You know Peter's Peter. He's the dummy. They don't say it yet.
They waited a few episodes before
They call him the
bust
dummy.
out the D word.
Yeah, and then Mike's like the leader. He's worried about the band. Davy's met a princess that he gave his jacket to.
She's got my jacket.
And Mickey's just being funny and weird.
Yeah.
Classic Mickey.
Yeah. The one thing about classic Mickey I had not noticed was if someone's working some sort of device or a gadget, it's usually Mickey. He's like the Donatello of the group. Even though he's kind of the wacko, he's also kind of the gadget guy.
Yeah, I was reading something about that, and that was supposed to be his like niche was within the show. Was he was like the mad scientist guy. And after seeing that, reading that, I noticed like, oh yeah, that is true. Like he really is always the guy that makes up, the spy camera or something. They find out she's staying at the rich swank hotel.
Yes.
and then Davey says he's got to go there to get his jacket.
She's got my jacket.
And then they jump into this military thing with Mickey.
Yeah, the fantasy kind of genre.
Yeah.
Pastiche.
And that's the first time the Monkees jump into that.
Yeah.
And it kind of lets you know, oh, okay, this isn't just a show just
What
about a
we're
band.
in for, yeah.
Yeah.
We hit the beach at Air 700. It is now Air 631. Synchronize your watches, please.
And he does the thing with the long stick, and he keeps hitting things, and the stick keeps getting smaller and smaller. And they were saying in the commentary that comes with the Blu-ray was kind of inspired by Nesmith because he was in the military, he was in the Air Force or whatever.
Yes.
And he hadn't worn a uniform since, and they put him in this thing. And I guess he crabbed about it.
PTSD.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, come on, man! I don't want to wear it. That's a uniform, man. That's by Mike Nesmith. Thank you.
Well done.
But yeah, so anyway, it was that's kind of the first Monkees jump into this cartoony type thing that they have going for them.
And like it's hard to think about things like that now because it's things like that and like breaking the fourth wall and the on-screen graphics have been done and done and done for years now. But it's 1966. Like the credits, they have to mention that the show is in color.
Yeah.
This is a long time ago. The Beatles have been around for 2 years in America. This is early in,
Yeah, it's crazy.
Late 20th century culture, and there's a lot of things that they probably did first or close to first.
And yeah, like the freeze frame with the words on it and stuff like that is like crazy. And they also still have the laugh track.
Yeah, they get rid of that later, don't they?
Yeah, it phases out. It comes and goes for a few episodes, but at the beginning they have a laugh track, which
and a boo track.
they have a boo track. The one episode only has a boo track. There's no laugh track, but people boo the toy guy. We're getting ahead.
Oh,
But yeah,
man.
they have the boo only track on that episode. So off the Monkees go. They make this. They plan how to get Davy's jacket back, because right now that's all they think they're doing.
She's got my jacket.
And this is the introduction of Wool Hat, the first Wool
Yes.
Hat at the hotel they come in.
The first Monkees ruse.
Yes.
Like in almost every episode, it's part of how they succeed is they're tricking people, disguises, fake names, what have you. It's like this trickster hero thing that goes back to Greek mythology. They're not like brute strength, but they're smart.
Yeah.
And they'll kind of deceive you into getting what they want through various means.
Yeah. So they get into this hotel saying he's like, was it W.H. Wool Hat?
W.H. Wool Hat.
Yeah.
That's W.H. Woolhat. The W.H. Woolhat.
Who's he?
You've heard of wool hats, haven't you? That's him.
That's the guy. And
Yeah, they get the room right next door to the princess's room.
yes, and they're in the famous gray suits.
Yes.
Each one is slightly different,
Yep.
and it looks so good.
Yeah, they're great. And they point that out too in the Blu-rays, like the differences on each. Like Mike has a little Western cowboyness
He's
to
got
his.
the 8 buttons.
Yeah.
Davey has 4.
Yeah,
Peter has 2, and Mickey has 1.
I think so, something like that.
It's neat because they're in similar gray suits, but they each got their own kind of personality to it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's another great little thing they do to like differentiate. Give them each a different colored mask, kind of thing. They do.
Yeah.
As the Ninja Turtles here, they give them like their little different suits, so you know what's up. So then Mike tells the maid he has a tip for her. Or first tells her to work hard, play hard, and get plenty of roughage. Someday you'll own this hotel. And then he says, I have a tip for you.
I have a tip for you.
Oh, thank you.
Buy International Steel at 28 and a half.
And sends her on her way, just to allow the Monkees to have the room to themselves. And then Mickey has they have that listening device in a case, put it up to the wall, each hold a thing to their ear, and they hear Otto and Igor Sigmund with their saying that they're gonna kill the princess in order so they could take over, because by midnight, if she doesn't become the princess, if she lives past midnight, she becomes the queen. And if she dies before midnight,
yes.
of harmonica.
And that tape recorder thing, I noticed, like we touched on with Mickey, but there's a lot of gadgetry and a lot of fun things that people, especially young people, don't have much access to, especially back then. Even when Sigmund is in the bush on the phone with like an antenna on it,
Yes.
he's on a mobile phone in 1966.
Yep.
What the heck?
Yeah.
It's quite because so there's like little glimpses of that where they have something cool, like a cool gadgety thing. And there's a lot of that in the Monkees, and I think it's part of the appeal,
Yeah.
They get to do things and have things in this weird little world that we might not have every day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially in 1966.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like really like going with probably like the space race and that kind of stuff, spies, that kind of thing. They're making it, cool for young people, as they say. And so Mickey comes up with this thing, and he calls up Otto, and they pretend to be throne salesmen. And they say, hey, we have this throne for you. You got to come over and check it out. So Davy can go in there and warn the princess that they're trying to kill her. And they were recording them. They recorded them on their little device. That's a very important part.
I heard it was for a podcast.
Yeah, I think it was. They're going to monkeying around. That's what they would have called it in 1966.
They're so far ahead of the curve.
Yeah, exactly. On their reel-to-reel. It'd be neat to have a little mini reel-to-reel like that, though.
For real.
Like, is that...
Too real.
Too real.
Far too real.
But it isn't like... Was that things kids had? Like tape recording reel to reel, or was it that
It
way
must
because
have.
that's what you think?
Like, I think you could get Winnie the Pooh or whatever on reel to reel. I think back then you can get Disney reel to reels and have like a little at home reel to reel player because that's how the tape listening was done as opposed to your vinyl cylinders and records.
Like, I wonder when like cassettes became more commonplace. Like, I was thinking of them like in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Like, it was probably
They've been
late
around for a
70s
long
when
time, right?
people started figuring out that 8-tracks weren't that fun.
8-tracks, yeah, it's the misstep. But anyway. So Davy goes, finds the princess, tries to play the tape for her. It's sped up, it's slowed down, he can't get it to work. And
that's when David Jones invented dubstep.
Yeah. And so the boys have to stall with Otto until Davy can get it to work, and she can finally hear the plot.
Yes.
And so they're and this is one of the first like Monkees things, like where they turn this regular chair into a throne. You know what I mean? You see them with saws and they're doing whatever they're doing.
When Mickey's doing his salesman character telling you got to come over here, and looks at the guys, we got a throne, and like everyone's like, well, shit, we got to get a throne going.
Yeah.
And boom, there's a throne.
Being in the Monkees in the television show would have been like nonstop shenanigans. Like, they're always doing something fun. So anyway, Davies, when he tells her the plot, he says we should call the police, and she's like, oh, he has diplomatic immunity, and until midnight when she becomes queen, he's in control. He's running the show here. Mm-hmm. So, it becomes like, okay, we just got to get her to midnight. How can we keep her busy, essentially, as the Monkees? Ew. Didn't mean it like that. That was weird.
Hey now. Hey now.
But let's be honest, Davy Jones in 1966. Forget about it. Like, think about being Davy Jones from 66 to 70.
Oh my God.
Like, come on.
It's a tough gig.
It is. It is. That little dude at the time of his life.
No doubt.
He's trying to be a jockey too, so he's flexible. So Davy and the princess, they hide in the linen closet while the boys stall. Otto and Igor, or Stedman. No, not Stedman. Sigmund.
Stedman. Oprah's boyfriend.
Yeah, he's trying to kill a princess in 66. So then they all sneak away. And this is one of the things. Peter steals the towel. They do the freeze frame. Everybody does it. And was that the first? That might have been the first freeze frame of the series.
Like, you mean with the text on it?
With the text and everything.
I think that might have been it.
Yeah, because I think after this,
there's a few of them.
Mickey has an idea.
Sometimes there's a light bulb. And,
he's like, I can't think with this light bulb over my head. And they get rid of that. And just that kind of thing, breaking down that kind of wall as well. Like, using things that have been done before, but calling attention to them was kind of a thing.
And of course, this is like a Davy episode. At what point should we establish that you and I aren't exactly Davy people?
Yeah, we could definitely start there. Like, I like Davy in the show, and I like Davy Jones, but the Davy songs on the records were not my favorite songs on the records.
Rarely. Like, sometimes they're decent.
Yeah, they have their moments.
Like, hey, look out, here comes tomorrow.
One of my favorite songs.
It's a good one.
Amazing.
It's excellent.
And Love to Love.
Yes.
Right? There's on the new record, on Good Times, right?
It was also on the Green Peter disc from the old box set.
Yeah, because when I heard Good Times and that song came on, I did like kind of like wait, but how do I know what's going on here? And then I was like, oh yes. Yeah, the Green Peter disc was probably the most solid disc of the box set.
Yellow one's pretty good too.
Yeah,
the Mickey disc.
The Mickey Peter,
well.
like the Davy Mike bread, it's tasty, but you didn't. That's not why you bought the sandwich.
Not as good as the Peter and Mickey meat and cheese.
Yeah.
In the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
Delicious.
It really is. And if I'm assuming people here listening to this, if anyone is listening to this, might know the box set. And if not, it goes in chronological order essentially.
Yeah.
To
and
show
that was our main gateway into the larger monkey world.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll get into that maybe after a little synopsis here. So after Peter steals the towel, Otto and his boy, they realize, and so they go after them. And so, of course, when you're on the run for your life, you're going to go for a walk with Davy Jones on the beach, right by the hotel you're staying at.
That's what you do.
Yeah. He's trying to kill you. He's staying in this hotel. Let's walk in front of it together. And then
Different times, man. Different times.
It really was. And then she tells Davy that he should come to Harmonica with her. And he says he has to stay there for the guys and their music, which is the other mention of a band.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That's the only other time.
What I have to do is here with the guys and our music. I see.
Because he mentions.
To remind the audience.
Yeah, this isn't the.
These guys don't run a bakery or something.
Yeah, they don't work in a hotel. They don't make wool hats. Like, oh, it's a story about the wool hat guy. If you just showed up halfway in.
You know, those throne makers / princess rescuers.
Yeah, if you didn't know what the Monkees were at all, they mentioned bands, but they also mentioned a million. Are they in the military? Does he make wool hats? Do they make thrones? They mention a band, you never see it. You'd have no idea what this show is about.
But the show itself, the episode itself, kind of pulls itself along on its own momentum.
Oh, definitely.
And the guys are the guys.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's the right choice for the first episode.
Yeah, it is. It establishes who they are. It's almost like they had to do that before the band, because if they went in a band-heavy episode, it'd be these four dudes singing, like, oh, okay, but what are they like? It's like, this one's like, here's what they're like. And kind of, Peter's a thief.
Hell a thief. Counterculture, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Sticking it to them fat cats in the hotel industry.
Yeah. And so that it ends with Davy telling her she has to go back because she's going to be the queen, and he can't go with her, essentially. But this leads to the first ever Monkees romp with This Just Doesn't Seem to Be My Day.
Yes.
Which is essentially just them running around. Peter's digging that hole with the signs.
I like
the funny
the whole
signs.
signs.
Yeah,
yes.
that's the staples in that paper. Like, it keeps the one thing kind of going. And then Mickey, it's Davy and the princess kind of, being in love. And then it's Igor chasing Mickey. But only Mickey. Peter's digging a hole. Mickey's running from Igor. They also do that thing where, like, Davy picks her up over his head, and then Igor picks Mickey up over his head.
Yes.
And they run, like, in the tube. Mickey runs in, and Igor runs out. Just, like, silly 60s
very silly
nonsense. Yeah. And I have to say, it's one thing, rewatching the Monkees episodes, is the amount of, like, zaniness to the episode is surprising, more so than I think when I thought, because we watched them in high school, essentially.
Yes.
That's when I got into them, so I think when you got into them. I watched them when I was a kid as well, at my grandma's house in the morning, but then I didn't know anything. But I feel like I thought they were more of like an episode. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is a running theme through them, but everything goes crazy the whole time.
Yes.
And I kind of forgot about that. So watching these again, it was just like, oh my God, like, to be someone's dad who fought in World War II, and you turn on the TV and your kid is watching this, it'd be like, what is going on here? Yeah. It'd be like probably a parent now, like, turning on like Ridiculousness or something. And you're just like, what are you watching? I don't understand.
It's true.
And the kid's like, yeah, you don't get it, man. But anyway, so Monkees romp. Mike isn't in the romp that I could see.
Oh, wait, the sword fight one?
No, This is the beach one.
Oh, okay.
Peter's digging the hole. Mickey's running from Igor, segment, whatever. But I think Mike is in it. It's a 3-monkey romp.
The first instance of Mike just kind of staying home.
Maybe he just punched a hole in the wall
and left that day.
Good day. Like, well, you can't go on the beach. You have a cast on your hand.
Oh, man.
But yeah.
I mean,
they're like, that could have been your romp, motherfucker.
We see Mike's beach attire in a later episode.
Yeah.
And it's the double denim.
Yeah. The Canadian tuxedo on the beach.
Going on that beach.
I'm wearing a wool hat. I don't wear a wool hat on a beach. So that's the end of the romp. And then Igor finds out where Davy and the princess are at the monkey pad, and that's when he calls Otto with the cellular phone or whatever it is.
Innovative.
And he gets the wrong number at first. And they start giving each other different...
Klondike 5
Yeah.
is the prefix, the 555.
Yeah.
But in old-timey phone talk,
Yeah.
I mean, this is how old this time is, and he's got a mobile phone.
Yeah.
The old Klondike 5.
What number is this, please? Klondike 58618. Ooh. I must have typed the wrong number. Sorry.
Harmonica is almost like Wakanda. They're just like ahead of everyone else. No one knows they exist.
That might be it. They got vibranium
Yeah.
in the harmonica. Yep, for sure.
That's what I think it was like. And so he gives the code. The guy gives it back. Then they realize they're both spies who called the wrong number. Mm-hmm. And that voice is James Frawley, who's the director of this episode. Yeah. So anyway, Igor, whatever his name is, gets the right number, calls Otto, tells him where they are.
Uh-huh.
And so then here's more Monkees zaniness. They set up the safe on a rope over the X.
Yes.
And they're going to have them come in and hit them with the safe. Which, if you really did that, you'd squish them and kill them.
It would be a problem.
The monkey pad would be disgusting.
I mean, it's not a Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
No.
But they're treating it like it.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like, it's fun. And it's something everyone instantly knows what's going on.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I get it. There's necks on the floor. It's safe in the air, hung up with rope. Mm-hmm. And so Igor and Otto are coming in, but Peter can't get the rope cut in time. So he's got to throw the knife down, and they all just stand there. And then Otto tells that the princess has to go to the ball with him. And so that's the question. Is he going to take her and just rub her out, I guess?
It's established at one point how they're going to do it, but I don't remember.
Oh, is it the punch? Is it
maybe?
the punch? And then...
See,
No, that's a different episode.
We've both watched this episode like 5 times in the last week.
Yeah.
You can't remember
They all kind of...
what the plot hinges on. I just remember Pete saves the day by calling the operator.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't remember how exactly he was... Otto planned on rubbing her out at this event. Or
it must have been or something, because he has Igor watch the boys, so they can't do anything. Mm-hmm. Or Stedman. What is his name? Sigmund?
Sigmund.
Sigmund?
I believe it's Sigmund.
Okay, Sigmund. Yes. Let's call him Sigmund, if I can ever remember that. I get it mixed up because I have too many stupid spy names in my head. So anyway, he's got to watch the boys. And then the boys like jumping up and down and doing all this stuff to get the rope to break, which I heard was an improv on the thing.
Oh, the jumping and the dancing. Yeah.
And then so then they start reading him a story because it's taking so long, and to distract him, they tie him up, and then he rips out of the ropes instantly and just wants the story essentially.
Yes.
Shows how dumb.
Like he's the Rock.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then because of that, the thing falls on his head.
Yes.
And he gets knocked unconscious.
Briefly.
Yeah, very briefly.
Just like it would have happened in real life.
Just like The Rock. If it was The Rock, he'd push a torpedo out of the way, get hit in the head with a safe.
Exactly.
And then tear apart
Don't spoil Hobbs and Shaw for everybody here.
It's Rampage 2. Because he has to beat up some monkeys. So anyway, they get to the inauguration ball or whatever it is.
Not quite sure the nature of this event.
Yeah, I don't know, because is it there? See, that's the thing. Is it there for her to become queen, or there to be like, hey, you're queen now? But he's also gonna kill her, so she can't be queen. I don't think Otto has thought this out.
I'm not sure.
I think once the
this is a feature of the podcast where we order pizza, watch the episode again, and then we correct the stuff we talked shit about for the last 30 minutes or however long.
I think this is just an in general question, because I think once the flotation device didn't work, Otto was out of ideas.
That was it for him.
He was like, this is all in right here. This is it. And then Davey saved her, and he's like, well, great.
Well, this little cheeky bastard.
She's got my jacket.
So the boys show up, try to save the princess. Otto grabs her, tries to escape, but Davey stops him. Mm-hmm. Mickey throws him a sword. Then, boom, we're into the next Monkees romp. And they're in like the full regalia. like Davy and Otto.
Yeah, the sword fighting deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is to Take a Giant Step, that song. And then they have a sword fight. And there's the weirdest thing of this, or a few weird things in the Monkees romp, where they throw someone into a building and then they cut to like the stock footage of a building falling down and stuff. And doing that kind of thing, I think is really cool.
Mix it in the stock footage is neat.
Yeah.
Idea. And it's just like probably just the guys, I mean, not Mickey, Davey, Peter, and Mike, but the guys and Bob and James, just using the resources available to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Making a TV show for NBC, they have access to all the stock footage.
Yeah.
What can we do with it? Well, let's see what we got, and let's see where we can put it.
Yeah, and I know James was saying too, or maybe it was Bob was saying, they tried to get people who weren't in the industry at all because they didn't know what they could and couldn't do.
Yeah.
And that's like Frawley said. The first thing James Frawley ever directed was this episode, ever in his life.
It's exciting.
And to have that kind of freedom and that kind of, like, it'd be crazy.
It'd be wild.
It'd be crazy. So they do the thing. Oh, and the one thing that's weird is the people feeding each other food.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they eat the plate.
That's pretty funny.
It's so out there and crazy. And
the part I liked was they cut to Mickey and Mike kind of standing on the stage watching it. Then they cut to some action. They cut to Mickey and Mike again, and Mickey's doing a little punch dance. Like, I can't explain exactly what he does, but you just have to see it, and it's cute, and I like it a lot.
Nice. There is things like that, like weird little cuts to things that just stick with you.
Yeah,
so
definitely,
the romp ends. Otto knocks the sword out of Davy's hand, and just as he's about to kill Davy, Peter holds up the phone with the operator saying that it is now midnight, meaning she's queen, so the princess is now queen, and she says, "Arrest this man as your queen."
Yeah.
And takes him away, saves the day. Peter coming through.
Peter did all right.
Yeah.
He was on the same phone that Sigmund was on, it looked like. It didn't have the antenna on it. Maybe they shot that early or something, but I'm pretty sure it was
Maybe he had the new
prop
model.
phone. The new model.
Yeah, now without an antenna.
At least Peter remembered the phone number.
Yeah. So now we come back at the hotel. Maid comes back in the room, and she now owns the hotel.
I own this hotel. Followed your advice.
Work hard, play hard, get plenty of roughage in your diet.
No. Bought International Steel at 28 and a half.
That's the end of the episode. That's how the episode ends, with her doing that. And then it cuts to the behind-the-scenes interviews with the guys. Hey, guys, we're 90 seconds short.
Yes, that's cool that they did that in the very first one.
Yeah. And I really like when they do these things with the boys. And you see them, like, hanging out.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is the only one with them in the monkey
the
button
classic
shirts.
Yeah.
Because I think of those post-episode interviews are always in, like, the denim.
Yeah,
and,
they're civvies.
They're the civvies.
Yeah.
But this one, it's them. There you are, the Monkees.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat to see.
It's a really cool moment. And it's something that, because when we watched them on TV when you're younger, we watched them on Much Music in Canada
Yes.
after school. And you had no idea the order of what was going on. Like, did they put them in the right order? Did they not? How did it work? Or when did it even start? Because there's not like a start episode. Do you know what I
True,
mean?
yes,
Like
exactly, yeah.
introducing them. So I always thought that the auditions, the Mike and Davey auditions, were at the end of the first episode. So when this popped up, it was more like, oh, pretty cool.
Like, I think they might be at the end of the pilot episode.
Maybe
Like when pilot comes up like 10th in the season or whatever.
Okay.
I think they do the thing where Mickey and Peter are there and Mickey explains, here's Mike and Davy's screen test.
Yeah. And it's
I'm pretty sure it's at the end of the pilot.
Oh, okay. So they don't open with the pilot. That's funny. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And then once you see the pilot, you kind of see it. They're very stiff and weird, and it's
has the other "I Want to Be Free"
and a lot of time with the grown-ups.
Huh.
And it's sometimes you'll find that in an episode, the less the Monkees are in it, the more kind of they're professional actors and everything, but it kind of like you're waiting for the Monkees to get back on the screen.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%. And so then that's the whole episode, and so I'll go like some overall thoughts or whatever. We kind of hit like they just jump right into this. Like there's no warming you up. Mm-hmm. They throw you in. And the only time you see them playing music is during the opening credits.
Yes.
Which is
yes, in this particular episode, yeah. And it's fun to see them actually do the the rock and roll thing, and it's fun to watch them play. And as a personal note, it was like watching them play was how I learned to play guitar, because we didn't have the internet back then, didn't have YouTube videos, but you could see Mike's actually playing chords, and you could kind of pick up on it. So like, I believe that this is kind of a prototypical Monkees episode where they get the formula kind of right. All the ingredients are there. They kind of got the recipe going, but there is not much actual Monkee band stuff. And that's, my favorite part is typically the music stuff.
Yeah.
But getting to know these episodes again has been a lot of fun.
Definitely.
I will say that.
Yeah. And one thing they also do is, like I mentioned too, in the theme song, if you just listen to that kind of catches you up.
Kind of, yes.
It's like everything about it is explaining who they are as a band, what they're doing, boom. And then they can jump back into this weird spy television show, and you know it's about a band.
Yes.
In the end, the final credits, not the shot of like their four heads, but when it goes through the bunch of pictures of each of them.
Yes.
I hate those pictures. I hate them. The Mickey one where his hair's pulled right to his eyes and he's wearing that hat on his head. Oh my God. I don't know why. I have like a physical repulsion.
I have nightmares.
I don't know what it is. I'm just like, I freaking hate these stupid pictures. The only good thing, they use the best ones for the four faces, which were the four CDs in the box set.
True.
So but for me, whenever it ends, and it might, you said, it might just be because the Monkees was over, and I was always sad about it. So.
It's a bummer feeling when the Monkees, that episode would be done. It was time for Blue Spotlight.
Yeah. What's the highlight of the show for you?
Obviously, I enjoyed the little Mickey Dolenz punch dance. However, I really like the ruse with the suits and Mike being Mike and kind of laying it out there. It is Texas drawl, and it's just he's my favorite dude in the band.
Yeah, mine as well.
For sure. Mickey's the excellent singer of the group, but Mike's my favorite dude.
Yeah.
For sure.
As a side note, let's just get into this first episode. How do they rank for you? How do your Monkees go?
Oh.
And are we going like in general, like hanging out wise, or musically, or like?
It's probably pretty close in both situations because they all seem pretty cool. But it would go Mike, Mickey, Peter, and Davey.
Yeah. See, I might switch Mickey and Peter. Peter might be my second but
Peter does seem pretty chill, but I don't know. Mickey seems like he's fun to hang out with.
Definitely. I wouldn't dislike hanging out with any of them, probably.
Agreed.
I think with Mike, I'd feel awkward. Because Mike,
that's possible.
Mike feels like a very, I don't know, his own man kind of thing. You know what I mean? Kind
of standoffish, maybe. Slow to trust.
Yes.
And, not as outgoing as some of the other boys might be.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's why when we went and saw the Mike and Mickey show, or the Mickey and Mike show, I'm not sure how, I think it's Mickey and Mike. And but either way, we saw that last year in Toronto.
Oh yeah,
and that was amazing. Just seeing Mike Nesmith with my own two eyes was kind a trip. Of mind-boggling.
To be in a room with the same air
as
Mike Nesmith. Like at this point, I've seen Mickey 4 or 5 times. You've seen him once.
I think just the once time. Yeah, the one time. Okay. The once time.
But yeah, like being able to see Mike seemed like such an impossible thing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there he is.
And for his voice to be as good as it was, it was amazing. And like Mickey is still awesome. His voice is still Mickey.
Yeah.
But to hear Mike, because he had no idea. He had no idea what was going on. Like, was he not touring because his voice wasn't up to it, this and that. But when he blasted it out, it sounded like Mike Nesmith. And that was the best part.
Like, Mickey sounds great still.
Yeah.
Because it's his job and it's what he does all the time. Mike was able to kind of walk away from the touring and the singing all the time. But he still got it.
In a big way, too.
Yes.
And he actually seemed happy, too. Like,
I was really worried. He was having a good time.
I went into that show a bit nervous. Like, is he just going to kind of be doing the motions and just kind of be that? But he seemed genuinely happy.
Yeah, for sure.
Which was fantastic. But anyway, we digress. So, yeah, I think my favorite part of the episode, or my highlight. So I think my highlight of the episode, it's kind of weird because doesn't really have anything to do with the Monkees, actually. It's the part with those people feeding each other and then eating the plate, because that sets the tone, like the
Establishes your notorious food fetish. I understand.
Yeah, exactly. But it hits you with like this show is going to be like this. Do you know what I mean? Like for 66,
Yes.
like this is what we're getting into
Yes.
now. This isn't for your parents. This is for you. We're going to have people feeding each other, cut back to them, and they're going to be eating the plates. And this is the first episode. While guys are sword fighting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's what I liked about it. But my second thing I really liked was the opening with all the boys. Like Mike saying, we didn't get a gig in a month. Peter's saying, I thought it was 4 weeks.
That is true.
Like the four of them the first time together is kind of like, okay, here we go.
In like 30 seconds, we learn about the guys, and it lays out the stakes of the episode.
Yeah.
And that's efficient.
Yeah, exactly. So classic Monkees moment. I have two things. The safe falling on the bodyguard's head and them escaping like that. It's totally like a cardboard safe. You know what I mean? Like it looks that way.
Yes, yes.
Or making the throne for Otto.
The throne, the fast motion.
Yeah.
Rompity-doo.
Yeah.
Like when we started doing this, I started clocking out the romp time. Like, so I want to see what percentage of the time they're in fast motion. See how it compares to the rest of our lives, you know?
Yeah.
But that's very cumbersome to do that, by the way. But I like the fast motion monkey stuff because that's like iconically Monkees when they do the fast motion. Stuff's going on.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, the shirts are the Monkees. The suits, in their own way, are the Monkees because they'll do some songs in later episodes wearing those suits.
Yeah.
And it's fun that to have those suits around just to mess with people or go to job interviews or whatever. But that's part of the whole appeal, not the style, the image.
Yeah.
Is what because they're not just the Monkees with the shirts. They have like various sets of things, and they add more to it later on.
Yeah.
They add more to their image, different layers in different situations. And right away, they're kind of establishing that here in this first episode.
Yeah, I agree. For best musical moment, it's really just one or two of the romps. I think the take a giant step with the sword fight romp is better than the on the beach romp with what was that first romp? Oh, This Just Doesn't Seem to Be My Day.
Yeah.
That song I feel is kind of schmish.
Kind of schmish.
It is.
That's going to come up a lot when we're describing the works of David Jones. Even just listening to that first Monkees album, where the first side mostly kind of alternates between Mickey, Davey.
Yeah.
And Davey can't compete with Mickey Dolenz, I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love Davey, but the songs are just not always they don't just seem as neat as the songs the other guys get to sing. But this doesn't seem to be my day. It does have that fuzzy guitar sound.
It does, yeah.
And that mild psychedelic effect that seems kind of be the Monkees' kind of trademark.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of grew into it.
Yeah.
Over the records.
And Take a Giant Step is neat because it's the first B-side. And it's just a great song.
It is. It's a really great song. They have some like did you know stuff. But if you have anything else to throw in before we...
I think we're kind of like, they do break the fourth wall when, I think Mike turns to the camera at one point and says, he's fast.
Yeah. Oh, Mickey.
Mickey does?
Yeah, it's when it's right before the safe falls on his head.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a jump cut. Like they hold their position and he jumps in front of them. Yeah.
Like, I think that's the first, maybe only time this episode someone turns to the camera. And it won't be the last.
Yeah.
And you kind of think, how often was that happening on network TV back then?
Yeah, I don't really
Probably
think.
not a ton.
No, not really. At least according, to the people talking about it.
Yeah, there,
And so with this one too, this was Davy Jones's favorite episode. And he said his second favorite was the Frotus Caper.
Huh.
So it's the first
Wow.
and the last are the
Goodness
two
gracious.
Davy Joneses. Because you got to think, like, for these dudes, this would have been such a great time.
Yes.
Like, this it'd been unreal.
Yeah.
Especially for Davy Jones. Like, I can see how Mike and maybe Peter had issues because they were musicians and kind of got the sellout thing and whatever else came on them.
Yeah.
But, like, for Mickey and Davy, it was like this was an acting gig that exploded.
Yeah.
That essentially set their entire lives in a direction. Because they're the two that never really pushed against the Monkees again.
True.
Right? So But yeah, I always think about what it would have been like for them.
Especially just how fast it all happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, like, think of like grade 9 and half of grade 10. That's a year and a half, and that's about how long they shot the Monkees for, and it seems nuts.
Yeah.
Because we've been, listening to and thinking about and reading about the Monkees for a long time now, and it feels like there's a long stretch back then where they did all this stuff, but it was like really not that long a time.
No.
It's kind of hard to get perspective on that.
It really is. Yeah, it would be like before Peter left in 1970, I think? 69, 70?
69. He left right after 33 and a third.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was 69.
Yeah.
His head came out in 68.
Yeah, it was after the show.
Yeah. So it'd be like something premiered in September 2016.
Yeah.
And now it's done. Like, it's crazy.
It's strange.
One thing James Frawley, the director, was saying is they did like 3 months of improv classes with the boys before they did anything to kind of give them this idea, because the scripts were probably pretty loose, I would assume.
Probably. I think they kind of had a point A and a point B for each scene.
Yeah.
And just as long as they got to the point of the scene, they could kind of had free reign.
Yeah.
And the improv, once Frawley mentioned that, and you think about how they each kind of have go-to characters and voices, mostly during their ruses. Like Mickey's got his fast-talking salesman voice, and his "You Dirty Rat," his Cagney voice.
Yeah.
Goes to from time to time. You might notice.
Yeah.
But you can definitely tell that they've been working together with the comedy and the reactions.
Yeah.
And
It helped us sell them as friends.
For sure.
Right, because they were like I think they're always like, we'd never be in a band together. We'd probably never be friends if we were just people, but because of who they were and how they got put together, they were.
Yeah. And like, if this was a modern TV show, they would have had an episode where they'd like, hey, remember when we met at the Troubadour, Peter? And but the Monkees never got around to doing that, or no one ever thought of that. No one ever thought about doing that until Phantom Menace. Like then there was the origin story craze where we got to find out where everybody was born and became whatever.
Yeah.
And they never did that for the Monkees. Wouldn't it be wild to like, what would that episode be like? Maybe we'll find out.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.
It's also, to go back to that, years ago it was a totally different thing, but it makes sense in the Monkees' cartooniness. Mm-hmm. I bought the Flintstones first season on DVD, right?
Yeah.
Years and years and years ago.
Wow.
And I was so like, oh my God, we see the first episode, like how they introduced them, how they do it. And it's nothing. It's just Fred's working at the gravel pit.
He's got his fucking
dick
cut, the bowling ball thing or something.
It just opens up like this, like boom, here it is. You'll figure it out. It's not that tricky. I was like, oh, okay.
Hey, Fred, we got a light of the wife's.
Yeah.
Well, Bard, yes, we do. That's every episode of the goddamn Flintstones.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's crazy. I guess that's how they did it in the 60s. Just jump right in. People, it's not too deep concept. A couple other little things here. They said that they wanted to get everybody who didn't really work in the industry. Like, they didn't want experienced people working on this show, except the camera operator, because they needed to work so fast. They said they did about 60 setups a day, and a regular show is like 15 to 20. Uh-huh. He's like, so we go in there, one take, good enough, next one, let's go, boom, 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 because they had so many like romps and so much weird cutaways to things and all that kind of stuff that they had to just keep moving all day long.
With your film and television background, I'm sure you can kind of appreciate the amount of work, and
especially if you're shooting on film, it's a totally different deal, like completely. Yeah, it would have been
just
insane.
The amount of work involved, just behind the scenes there, just to make it all happen and see what we see.
Yeah, and it's like for that kind of stuff, you needed people who didn't know any better. Like, this is what it's like. You work all day long. Just shut up. We got to keep going. Like, oh, that's how it is. Let's do this. I'm 21. Let's Yahoo. It's like a 35-year-old guy's like, I'm not doing that. No way. And and I guess at the end of the episode, the first time they cut it, they were 7 minutes over,
Ooh.
And they went back and sped everything up. And that's where the fast stuff came.
Wow.
And then they were 90 seconds under. And James was like, shoot something else. I'm not redoing this again. Because he had to edit it on the film and everything.
So that's kind of neat. So like the high-speed romping
It was
and
like a necessity.
And the post-show interview type stuff was born out of necessity, and both became important parts of the Monkee formula.
Yeah. It's wild. Crazy. It's crazy how, like, let's just speed it up. Like, how are we going to cut this? We got to speed it up. And that's how they did it. So, yeah. And there you go.
It's tough to pull off live.
Yes. All right. So, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add here for Royal Flush?
I think we're good on the episode. That was a lot of fun. I didn't think we the deep dive into that episode.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I hope it was as fun to other people as it was to us.
If
not, we'll have to speed everything up.
Yes.
Do behind the scenes.
That could be the key to the whole operation.
Yeah, our whole thing is
our whole podcast is 45 seconds long. You got to hear it.
Yeah.
Just for like not even a minute.
We should try to figure out how to do an audio Monkees romp. And in the middle, we just do something people know we're romping. All right. So from Paco here.
And from Jeff.
Thank you for checking out Podcast Valley Sunday. There will be another one every week as we get through every single episode of this 2-season Monkee extravaganza. So thank you for listening, and we'll be back in a week.
A week? I thought it was 7 days.